All right, I will be teaching you a little bit about the idea of student choice-based learning, which is kind of a new method going on around. All right, what is student choice-based learning? There are many different ways in which educators refer to this idea of choice-based learning, some including but not limited to 20% time, genius hour, choice-based learning, and passion projects. What is this idea of 20% time or student choice-based learning? In this type of teaching method, students are given an amount of designated time to work on their own projects and ideas, ones that they choose to come up with themselves. The intention of using this method is to spark innovation in the classroom. This has become more of a common teaching practice, and it's good for teachers to be aware of the different methods that are out there. An important part of teaching is trying new things, especially in the way that you teach, in order to ensure that students are learning to their full potential and meeting each of the students' needs, as we know each of them are made differently. The concept of 20% time was initially developed by Google in order to offer their employees the time and opportunity to work on ideas and projects that would contribute to their professional development. This idea actually resulted in new product launches of Gmail, Google News, Google Talk, and a couple of other things. This idea of choice-based learning gives students the opportunity to choose a couple of different things. They can choose what projects they're going to do and the topics of their choice, how they will be assessed on what they've learned, and what they want to learn or study about, which can help them decide what they want to do for their occupations in the future. According to the U.S. Department of Labor, today's high school students will have had 10 to 14 different jobs by the time they reach their late 30s. This is due in part to the fact that they may not know exactly what they want to do with their lives. In addition to this, 65% of students will be working in jobs that have not yet been invented. The world is rapidly changing around us, as are the jobs and job positions. Only people with skills such as innovation, creativity, and exploration will be able to get jobs. So schools need to start teaching in a different way to emphasize the learning of these skills. Allowing students to study what they want to, with a purpose, gives them more motivation and improves competency of students. This will also help them find out what they are interested in and what they want to do for an occupation. There's the major pros to using this method. Using this method will support the curriculum, making sure that students are learning what they need to. Along with that, it also aligns with the Common Core standards necessary for students. Not only in those ways is it beneficial for the teacher, but also it helps students find their true passions before graduating from high school. Students are more likely to learn more and be benefited from something that they choose to do. And it also helps support inquiry and innovation in the classroom from the students when the teacher is not initiating all questions and ideas. Children are able to develop and organize successful projects without the use of 20% time, but researchers think that with the right opportunity, such as this choice-based learning, children will be able to do even more. Innovation does not happen when it's forced on the student. Innovation is something that they had to find on their own. And using this method is also beneficial for the student, helping them to see their full potential. 20% time may be important in preparing students for the future, as we talked about before too, finding the right jobs. There are some challenges as well, and possible cons to this method of teaching, as there are in all. Some argue that this approach to learning without the teacher involved is not as beneficial or effective. Students might not be able to work well on their own without the pushing and guidance of the teacher. It can be a lot of work for the teacher, as there needs to be clear objectives so that the students know what is required in the project. And as with all other teaching methods, there will be some students who do not like this method. In using this method, teachers and students also must make sure that there is purpose in every choice that they make. So what? What does this matter for us as Christian school teachers? This teaching method helps students to have a purpose in all the choices that they make. It makes them not take things for granted or do things flippantly. And using this method, children are taught to learn how to choose, but in doing so, they're also choosing to learn, which is what their calling is as children. This also helps them create good choices, which is an important life skill that they will be using for the rest of their lives. Being able to learn how to work on their own without teacher involvement will teach them how to grow spiritually on their own too, without always needing guidance from their parents, pastors, or mentors. It teaches them good practices and how to do their own personal devotions, as well as skills for being independent in the workforce as well. There are many benefits to using this choice-based teaching method, as well as a couple of cons. Teachers will have to try it out and see for themselves if it works for their students or if it doesn't work.